Hi, good morning all. This is our sixth day of workshop organized by Department of Civil Engineering in association with ICI VVIP chapter. Our today's guest faculty is Engineer Samira Salim ma'am. She is an Autodesk certified instructor and working as Senior Technical Engineer at BIM Labs Private Limited. I am sure today's session will be very informative and I welcome all of you. I request Samira ma'am to take over the session on preparation of approval drawings. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Let me introduce myself. I'm Samira Salim, working as a senior technical engineer at BIM Labs, and I hope you all can see the screen. Is it? If you have any problem regarding the audio, you can text me on the chat box. I'm Samira Salim, working as a senior technical engineer at BIM Labs Engineering Services Private Limited. Today, I'm going to present you the topic how to prepare an approval or a sanction drawing. And it is the preparation of a sanction or approval drawing is a basic skill set expecting from a civil engineer. And also approval drawings are mandatory for getting building permit, which is essential for constructing a building in everywhere. And we are also doing a course based on this preparation of approval or sanction drawing. And on that course, we're discussing about the building rules and tools of AutoCAD, how to create a plan, section, elevation according to the building rules, then how to draw the site plan, the location map, details of septic tank and soak pit, then rainwater harvesting, creating a sanction plan. Then for that, we have to calculate areas like plinth area, floor area, carpet area, plot area, FAR or floor area ratio, coverage, all those things. And to set all these things in a sheet, first of all, we are going to look the building rules on a residential building. And what are building bylaws? And that is the minimum provisions designed from National Building Code by town planning authorities in order to protect the inmates, neighbors, and public passing by the side of the building against fire accidents, structural failures, and insanitary conditions are called building bylaws. The National Building Code has been published in 1917 and by the Bureau of Indian Standards in order to maintain uniform building regulations throughout the country. It was revised in 1983 and 2005. The existing PWD codes, bylaws, and regulatory media is replaced by national building codes in order to meet the local requirements. And we are discussing about building rules, that is building bylaws. And here you can see what are building bylaws. That means it is the minimum provisions designed from National Building Code by town planning authorities in order to protect the inmates, neighbors, and public passing by the side of the house or building against fire accidents, structural failures, and insanitary conditions are called building bylaws. And first, the National Building Code has been published in 1917 by the Bureau of Indian Standards in order to maintain uniform building regulations throughout the country. And this code was revised in 1983 and 2005. Existing PWD codes, principal bylaws, and other regulatory media would either be replaced by national building codes in order to meet the local requirements. In each state, they will be having a bylaw for certain municipality or locality. In Kerala, we have Kerala municipality building rules, and these are the strict rules from municipality depending on the states, which must be obeyed by everyone. Okay, and these laws has to be applied for the construction of new buildings or reconstructions and extensions and any alterations of existing building and to certain changes of use of existing building, or for all those things we have to prepare this approval drawings. And if everyone makes building without obeying these rules, there will be problems of irregular and narrow roads, frequent traffic problems of parking, health problems due to pollution. The laws should be applied for buildings because this building bylaws should be enforced by proper authority in order to achieve because building bylaws prohibit irregular development and urban development and should permit disciplined and systematic growth of buildings. That means these rules allow a disciplined and systematic growth of building and towns, and they prevent hazardous development. And by applying these all building rules to buildings, we can provide we can properly utilize the space, and maximum efficiency in building can be arrived. And this building bylaws gives guidelines to the engineer or architect in effective planning and useful preparation in building activities. And the growth of this township is maintained by providing uniform height of buildings, uniform frontage, etc., so that if any proper the abutting road can be easily widened in future if required, like that. So, and also provide health, safety, and comfort to the people who live in the building. And due to these rules, each building will have a proper approaches, light, air, and ventilation, which are essential for health, safety, and comfort. And also the damage caused by fire, structural and constructional defects shall be localized, and its impact on a neighborhood can be minimized. And first of all, we are going to first, if a client gives you a site and they ask me to prepare an approval drawing, then first of all you have to visit the site and take measurements of the site, and from there you have to prepare the site plan first. After preparing the site plan, there you have to consider in mind that there is some open space requirement that we have to meet while preparing the approval drawing. That is, first of all, the open space requirement. It is the setback line. Setback lines means the front building line up to which we can extend our construction. Okay, there is some open space requirement for residential buildings. And on the building rules, they are talking about so many types of buildings, like residential building, educational building, institutional buildings, commercial buildings, office buildings, storage, like many buildings. But here we are talking about how to get an approval drawing of a residential building only. Okay, so in this case, open space requirements is only for the residential building. First of all, we have to consider the setback line, and this is the line that up to which we can extend our construction. And for the occupancy type of a residential building, and up to a height of 10 meter, that is a building up to a height of 10 meter, we have to provide a front minimum open space of 3 meter and an average of 1.8 meter. That means here you can see that from this figure, the red color, the red boundary indicates the plot, and that hash part indicates the building. While planning a building from a site plan, you have to know how to give the setbacks of this building, like from your building rules. That is, on the building rules, that is clearly see that the front setback that we have to provide is a 3 meter or an average a 3 meter with with minimum of 1.8 meter. That means at all times we don't have a parallel frontage parallel to the plot, so at that time we cannot provide proper 3 meter parallelly to the from the plot to the building. Okay, so at that time you can provide an average 3 meter with minimum of 1.8 meter, means from both the sides, from both the front corners of the building up to the plot, the average of the distance taken should be 3 meter or parallelly 3 meter, like that. And also the side setback, one of the sides should be 1.2 meter and the other side should be 1 meter distance. And for the rear setback, it should be 2 meter distance, or an average 2 meter with minimum of 1 point. Same as the case of front setback, like we cannot if we cannot provide 2 meter parallelly from the plot to the building, if the building is not situated parallelly to the plot and it is if it is inclined like that, we cannot provide 2 meter parallelly. So at that time, from both the corners of the rear side of the building, the distance up to the plot should be the average of the sum of the average should be what minimum 2 meter with minimum of 1 point. That means either any one side should be 1 meter. Okay. And in front setback case, it should be average 3 meter with a minimum of 1.8 meter. That means any one side not less than 1.8 meter, such that. And occupancy type for building up to a height of 10 meter, you have to provide like 1.3 meter front open space with a minimum of 1.8 meter. And also for the rear open space, you can have to provide an average 2 meter with minimum of 1.1 meter. And for the side open spaces, you have to provide 1.2 meter on one side and 1 meter on other side. And if your residential building is of greater than height of greater than 10 meter, then you have to add 0.5 meter for every 3 meter height. That means if your building is of 13 meter, then you have to provide a front setback of 3.5 meter or an average of 3.5 meter. Okay, and you have to provide the rear setback of 2.5 meter or an average of 2.5 meter. And like that, you have to add 0.5 meter for every 3 meter height. If your building is of 16 meter height, then again you have to add 0.5 meter, that is 0.5 plus 0.5. You have to add a total 1 meter with 3 meter, that is 4 meter setback, front setback, and 3 meter rear setback, like that. That is the case of open space requirement. Next, this is the minimum standard dimensions of building elements when you are planning a residential building. First of all, you have to take the measurements of the site. Either you can take the measurements directly from the site by using measuring tape, or by use from the total station survey. If the site is of little complex or a large site, then you can ask the client to give a total station survey data. Therefore, easily you will get a site plan. You can use that for planning the building, or else anyway you have to visit the site. Okay, then only you have to prepare this plan. After making the site plan, you have to give this setback from all the boundaries, and you will get an idea about how much area you have there for preparing or planning your building. And within that area or with that area, you can plan your building according to the client's requirements, how much square feet of building they need. Okay, and there should be some minimum standard dimensions of building elements, and we cannot reduce this height or width or length or area rather than this. Okay, first of all, it is a room, that is a habitable room. That is, if there is only one room in a building, we have to provide average of 2.75 meter or minimum 2.4 meter under beams, AC or ceiling. That is, if there is a ceiling, then I have to provide a minimum 2.4 meter height, or otherwise you have to provide a minimum height of 2.75 meter. And you have to give a minimum width of 2.4 meter to the room, and the minimum area should be 9.5 meter square. Okay, and from this area itself, and from this area and using this width, you can calculate the length of this habitable room. And if there is additional habitable rooms, the height requirement is same as above. That is, average of, we have to provide an average of 2.75 meter or minimum 2.4 meter under beams, AC or ceiling. And the minimum width is 2.1 meter, but if it is only one room, we have to provide a minimum width of 2.4 meter, and the minimum area should be 7.5 meter square. And if it is a kitchen, okay, if you are planning to make a kitchen for cooking alone, then the height requirement is the same, and the width is 1.8 meter, and the area should be 4.5 meter square. Okay. And if the kitchen with a stove, then the minimum width is same 1.8 meter, but you have to increase the area, that is up to 5 meter square. And next, the kitchen with dining space. If The height is same as above, like average 2.75 meter and minimum of 2.4 meter under beams, AC and yes, Harit Kumar, in the red boundary line, we can can we build a boundary wall? Yes, that indicates the boundary wall, the plot boundary of the site. And from there, you have to, after after planning or after drawing this site plan, then only you can give the open space requirements and you can plan the building according to that. Then only you will be able to know how much space will be there for your building or for the plinth area like that. First of all, you have to give this you have to follow this open space requirements, like you should give a front setback of 3 meter, you should provide a rear setback of 2 meter and a side setback of 1.2 meter on one side and 1 meter on other side. Then you will get a rough idea about how much area will be there for providing you of planning the building. If the site is so large, then you can no need of first of all no need of looking on this open space requirement. You can plan your building accordingly. Then at last you can place your building like by meeting this open space requirements if the site is so large. But if the site is a little site, a small site, then you have to first draw the site plan, and then you have to provide this open space requirements. Then you will be able to know how much area will be there or how much square feet will be there for planning our building. Then according or within that limit, you have to plan your building. Okay, is it clear, Hajit Kumar? Okay. Okay, then the case of okay, then back with the case of minimum standard dimensions of building elements. Okay, thank you. Then with kitchen with dining space, if it is a kitchen for cooking alone, then you have to provide a minimum area of 4.5 meters square. And if it is kitchen with a storeroom, then you have to provide a minimum area of 5 meters square. And if the kitchen is with dining space, then the minimum height is same in the above case, like average of 2.75 meter. And okay, is the audio comfortable? Is any voice breakage issues for you? Okay. With an average of 2.75 meter or a minimum of 2.4 meter under beams, AC and slabs, AC and ceilings. And you have to provide a minimum width of 2.1 meter with a minimum area of 7.5 meters square. Okay, that means if the purposes increases, like if not only kitchen but we have a storeroom also, and if you have dining space also, then the minimum area requirement will be more. That is now the kitchen with dining space, you have to provide a minimum area of 7.5 meters square. Okay, then for bathrooms, you have to provide minimum height of 2.2 meter. That is, we know that up to lintel level we have a height of 2.1 meter, and with that slab thickness, that is the lintel slab thickness, if it is 10 centimeter, then the bathroom height will be of course up to 2.2 meter. Okay, that is the height there. That is a minimum of a 2.2 meter height should be provided for bathrooms, water closets, or both bathrooms and water closets. And for bathrooms, the minimum width should be 1.1 meter and the minimum area should be 1.5 meters square. Okay, for bathrooms. And for water closets, the minimum width should be 1 meter square, sorry, 1 meter, and the minimum area should be 1.1 meter square. And if it is both, if that is both bath and water closets, then height is the same as above, like a 2.2 meter, and you have to provide a minimum width of 1.2 meter and the minimum area should be 2.2 meters square. Okay, this is the minimum standard dimensions of building element according to National Building Code. Then for residential buildings, you have to provide a minimum width of staircase like 90 centimeter. That is the width of the staircase should be minimum 90 centimeter, and this fairly it is 1.2 centimeter. Okay, and the width of the thread is up 25 centimeter to 30 centimeter. We know that in a stair The vertical portion is the riser, and the horizontal portion that we make our foot is what thread. So height of the riser is 15 centimeter, can be 15 centimeter to 20 centimeter, and on the case of thread, it should be 25 centimeter to 30 centimeter. Okay, and sometimes it may differ according to your locality. That is, this I'm telling about the case of Kerala municipality according to the Kerala municipality building rules. Some of the cases, okay, but this minimum standard dimensions of buildings is from national building codes, and all these setbacks, other things in Kerala municipality building rules. If your state changes, then there will be a little bit changes for this requirements. Okay, you have to, if you are going to prepare an approval drawing, then you have to, first of all, you have to read that full municipality building rules or panchayat rules according to the location of that plot. Then only you have to prepare this approval drawing. Okay, this the minimum width of 90 centimeter, thread 30 centimeter, height of riser should be 15 centimeter, and the height of handrail should be 90 centimeter. And here you can see for residential occupancies, fire escape staircase shall be provided when 3 stories above ground level. Normally, on residential occupancies, we don't see any fire escape staircase, but if the residential occupancies is 3 stories above ground level, then you can provide a fire escape staircase. Should be provided above this 3 stories. Okay. Then okay, then first of all, you have to make the site plan, and then from there you have to give the open space requirements, so that you have to plan how much area there will be there for planning your residential or your building. Then from there you have to plan by giving these minimum standard dimensions of rooms like kitchen, room, all those things. Then after that, that is after preparing all these floor plans, sections, and elevations, you have to, on the approval drawing, there should be floor plans of all the floors. Okay, if there is ground floor, then there should be a ground floor plan. If there is first floor, there should be a first floor plan. If it is second floor, then there should be second floor plan. That is, you have to include all the floor plans of the buildings on the approval drawing, and that should be fully dimensioned. Now you have to make the floor plans, then that floor plans should be fully dimensioned. After that, we have to prepare sectional views, that is sectional views of that by cutting a line from that plan. You have to create a sectional, you have to draw sectional views, and in that sectional views you have to provide hatches indicating certain materials, and then you have to draw a building elevation, building front elevation. Up to this, all these things your approval drawing should have, like floor plans, sectionals, and elevations. Then the other important things that the approval drawing must include is the areas of that building. Okay, first of all, you have to find out the plinth area. Plinth area means it is a total area including the wall thickness and the plinth offset. Only if the plinth offset exceeds 5 centimeter only, then you have to consider the plinth offset. Otherwise, you have to take the total area including the wall thickness. Plinth area is the area in the ground floor, and you have to calculate that area including the wall thickness. And you can exclude these all portions from plinth area, like area of loft, then open platforms, terrace, an open spiral staircase, service staircase. All these things you can exclude from the plinth area. That means we know that by depending on this area, we have to pay some tax. No, so if you are doing an approval drawing, please consider all these things, and maximum you have to exclude the things like area of loft, open platform, terrace from these plinth areas, and all the area while calculating the areas. And this is the area, that is the total area including the wall thickness. And next, after calculating the plinth area, you have to calculate the floor area. Floor area means we have to mention both the plinth area and the total floor area on the approval drawings title blocks. Okay, therefore First of all, you have to calculate the plinth area by including that wall also. Then that is the same as floor area at ground level, and that is area at the plinth level excluding plinth offsets if the offset does not exceed 5 centimeter. That is, if your plinth offset does not exceed 5 centimeter, you are not need of taking that plinth offset, only up to the outer wall. Okay. Then also the next thing is you can exclude the verandas and balconies, not fully, but if the verandas and balconies with at least one of its side open to the exterior or interior open spaces, then you have to consider only the 50% of that area. Okay, that is if the veranda is open, at least one of its side open, then you have to calculate only 50% of that area on the plinth area. Then the open platforms and terrace at ground level and porches shall not be included on this floor area. The next floor area of upper floors, that is first floor, second floor, third floor, whatever, that is the same case, and you know, no need of including this verandas and balconies with at least one of its side open to exterior or interior open spaces fully. You have to calculate only up to 50% of area. Okay, and also the open terraces also you have to exclude the open terraces. And if the staircase is located on the terrace portion, we can exclude that area. Okay, you have to take only the area with the usable area, like we can exclude this terrace portion if the stair is on the terrace portion, at least one of its sides open, then it would open with an area. You can have to calculate only up to 50% of its area. Then you can exclude the stair well. Okay, that means there will be, if the building is a two-story building, there will be a stair from the ground floor to first floor, and there will be a stair well cutting that stair. No, so you can exclude that area also while calculating floor areas. Okay, maximum reduce the floor areas. Then the next is the carpet area. After calculating the ground floor area, first floor area, you have to calculate the total floor area by adding these areas. Then you have to calculate the carpet area. Carpet area means the net usable area within the building. Normally it is it will be of 80% of plinth area, but if you want to calculate that, you can calculate by reducing the following areas like open verandas, passages, corridors, ports, then what lift, water closet, bathrooms, like then thickness of the wall. You can also exclude the thickness of the wall, vertical shaft for drainage, stair, all those things you can exclude all those things while calculating the carpet area, or you can take the carpet area as 80% of the plinth area. And next is the floor area ratio. You have to mention all these areas on your approval drawing. Okay. Then next is the floor area ratio. It can be also called as floor space index. Floor area ratio has to be calculated by an equation like is equal to total covered area of all floors divided by plot area. We already have the plot area from the site, so we know how much is our plot, and then we have to find out the total area of all floors. That is, from these we will get by calculating the floor area at ground level and floor area of upper floors, and by adding this we will get the total floor area of all floors. After that, you have to find out the floor area ratio. Then you have to divide the total area of all floors with the plot area. Okay, and the maximum floor area ratio without the additional fee should be 3, and the maximum FAR with additional fee is 4. Okay, without additional fee, the maximum permissible FAR is 3, and with the additional fee, it is 4. Okay, that is the floor area ratio. It is also very important. Then the next topic is covered area ratio. Comes to the covered area ratio, we have to calculate the coverage by plinth area divided by plot area into 100. Okay, that is, you have to calculate coverage is equal to plinth area by plot area into 100. We already have the plot area. We have to calculate. We have the ground floor area. Then we have to divide that plinth area with plot area and into 100. That is the coverage. Okay, or plinth area divided by plot area is the coverage. Sorry, covered area ratio. And coverage, if you want to find out the coverage, then you have to multiply it with 100. And the maximum permissible coverage area of residential occupancy type is 65%. Okay, and for all other occupancy type like institutional building, educational buildings, and hazardous buildings, storage buildings, office buildings, the permissible coverage area differs according to the occupancy type of the building. Okay. These are all the areas we have to find out after planning the buildings. Like after completing the floor plans, then sectional views, elevation. No, after completing the floor plan itself, we can find out these areas. Then we have to draw the sectional views, elevation. Then we have to find out all these areas like plinth area, floor areas, that is sum of the all floors, total floor areas. Then carpet area, you have to find carpet area individually for all floors, like ground floor carpet area, first floor carpet area, and the total carpet area will be the sum of these individual carpet areas of each floors. Okay. The next of that, you have to find out the FAR and the maximum permissible limit of FAR without additional fees 3. Then next you have to find out the covered area ratio or coverage. The maximum permissible coverage area of residential occupancy type is 65%. And this is a sample of a site plan. And you can see that this site plan includes, and first of all, you have to keep in mind that the site plan should be drawn to a scale of not less than 1:400, and it should be fully dimensioned. Okay, like this. That is, your site plan should be fully dimensioned, and you have to place this site plan on your approval drawing with a scale not less than 1:400. Okay, and on the site plan, the boundaries of the plot should be shown, and the position of the site in relation to the neighboring street and its main access should be shown in this. I think you can see that the front access road is shown here. That is, on your site plan, you have to include the position of the site in relation to the neighboring street. Okay, and also you have to mention it width of that road and the name of that road. If any, you have to include on site plan the name of such street and its width and the all existing structures in the plot. All times we will not get a new construction. If sometimes it may be an existing, we have to prepare some existing alterations to some buildings. For that also we have to make approval drawings. On that case we have to on or any case on the plot we have to mention if there is any existing structures in the plot, we have to mention that on the site plan. Then all existing streets of footpath within that plot we have to mention that also. Then the access to each plot subdivision you have to mention that, and the layout of any service roads, footpath, and any public parking spaces proposed or existing, then you have to mention that also. And the area and location of any land within the plot that undevelopable, such that steep terrains, marshes, then you have to mention that. The area and location of any land within that plot that is not proposed to be developed or redeveloped. Then the area and location of any land that is proposed to be reclaimed, that land you have to mention. Then the main thing is the north direction. You have to mention the north direction of to the site. Okay. Then okay, up to this you have to make up to these things, that is you have to draw your proposed building by just the hats like this. Then you have to, the site plan should be fully dimensioned. It should not be the scale of not less than 1:400. Then you have to mention the plot dimensions, then the front, the neighboring streets and the name of that streets, its width, and if any existing buildings is said, you have to mention that. And you have to also draw the septic tank, the position of septic tank and the rainwater harvesting on the site plan, so that okay, we'll discuss it later. And this is some general requirements, that is for total floor area between 600 to 1000 square meters. Okay, that is if your total floor area is 600 to 1000 square meters. Normally we calculate normally we calculate the areas in square feet, not on square meters. So 1 meter square is equal to approximately 10.76 square feet. So 600 to 1000 means 1000 meter square means it's approximately 10,000 something. 10,700 something square feet, then the minimum width of the access required is 3 meter. Okay, that is for to the building. The minimum width of access required is 3 meter, and the minimum distance between the central line of a street and any building should be 4.5 meter. And also, while planning a building, and you will be you have to give some doorways, no exit doorways, and the minimum width of that exit doorways should be 75 centimeter. We have no need of, or you cannot provide a doorway of less than 75 centimeter. The minimum width of the door should be 75 centimeter, and you can provide the width above this 75 centimeter. Okay. Then if your building is in small plots, that is if your building is in small plots like 125 meter square, means a plot of a square feet approximately 1,350 something 350 square feet, then the minimum distance between the plot boundary abutting any street other than the main roads and the building should be 2 meter. Okay, that means in order of providing that a 3 meter setback, here you can provide 2 meter, and the front yard is equal to 1.8 meter width. And once for one side, on the normal cases, we have to provide a minimum setback of 1.2 meter on one side, and on the other side we have to provide 1 meter setback. No, but here we can provide one side 90 centimeters and the other side 60 centimeters, and on the right side you can provide a setback of 1 meter. Okay, that is the condition of building in small plots. And building condition for
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah.
Can you make this slide in full screen mode?
Okay. Yeah, but it makes some problems, that's why.
Okay, then it's okay, ma'am.
I cannot change that. I cannot change the slide view when in this presentation mode. That's where it is. Okay. Okay, then this is the case of building in small plots. Okay, it's okay now, because since there is some technical problems when I make the slide in presentation mode. Then the next topic is building construction under approved schemes. That means building and construction under approved scheme means like the welfare departments, like government make some homes, or some welfare schemes like SCST departments or fisherman departments, fisherman welfare association, like that. If they are making some building construction, that is the building construction under approved scheme, then the plinth area shall not exceed 50 meters square. Okay, and the number of the maximum number of floors permitted is 2, and the minimum distance between the plot boundary abutting any street other than the main roads and the building is 1.5 meter, and the front yard is only 1 meter width. That is the case when you are constructing a residential building under approved schemes. The number of floors, the maximum number of floors is 2, and the plinth area shall not exceed 50 meters square. 50 meters square means approximately 550 square feet. Okay, that is the case. Then the case of wells, that is you have to mention the position of wells on that approved plan. So in the case of a well, the setback from any street shall be that required for a building. That is the same case. Then and on the side case, there shall be a 1.5 meter setback from all other boundaries. And the main thing you have to consider in mind that no septic tank shall be allowed or made within a distance of 7.5 meter radius from any existing well. Okay, that means the position of your septic tank and well should be greater than 7.5 meter radius. That is, no septic tank shall be allowed or made within a distance of 7.5 meter radius from any existing well, and that should be mentioned on your site plan. The position of the septic tank and the position of the well, and if required, you can make a circle and you can show that the radius is above 7.5 meter, like that. Okay, and the protected brick wall height is 1 meter height. Brick wall can be provided on the wells, should be provided with the wells. This is a case of well, and here you can see a sample septic tank and a sock pit. We know that we just studied the design of a septic tank, a sock pit, and all those things. By considering the amount of sewage existing on a building and the number of persons, all those things, we just calculate the capacity of a septic tank. But normally on the residential buildings, it will be the same That is no much importance for preparing septic tank plan section and the rainwater plan sections. It will be almost the same for almost all types of residential buildings. So we can have to, but we have to place a septic tank plan sections and socket details and an approval drawing. Then when it comes to the rainwater harvesting, for residential building having a floor area of 100 meters square or more and a plot area of 200 or more, the rainwater harvesting should be provided. Okay, that is 100 meters plot area. 200 meters square means if the size of the plot is above 2000 square feet, then not above 2150, I think 2150 square feet, then you have to provide a rainwater harvesting for that building. And while drawing a rainwater storage systems, we have to mention the minimum capacity of that rainwater harvesting arrangement. Okay, and that should be calculated by the equation 25 liter per square meter of total floor area. That is, we already find out the total floor area by calculating the floor area at the ground level and floor area at the first floor level, then second floor level, and by adding this, we just calculate the total floor area. And on the approval drawing, we can mention the capacity of this rainwater harvesting arrangement by multiplying this total floor area with the 25 liters per square meter. And notice that it is in square, 25 liters per square meter. No, so you have to convert that floor area to meter square if it is in square feet. And if your plot is of, or if the building is of 2000 square feet, the meter square will be approximately 185 meter square. No, so you have to calculate the capacity of rainwater harvesting by, that means just consider that your total floor area is 150 meter square. Okay, then you have to calculate the rainwater harvesting arrangement by multiplying this 150 into 25. Okay, that will be your rainwater harvesting capacity, that is up to 3125 liters. Okay, that is the capacity of your rainwater, that should be your capacity of the rainwater harvesting arrangement. Then here you can see the just a model of rainwater storage tank. This is just a sectional view that shows the parapet portion, and this is a downpipe that goes to a filter unit, and here we can collect storage tank. There we will collect the rainwater. And here you can, on the bottom portion, you can see that here that mentioned the storage capacity that is equal to 6750 liters. Like that, you have to mention the storage water capacity also. Okay. Then for the approval drawing, we have to prepare a location plan. Location plan, we can make it easier by just browsing our location on the Google or anything like that. We have to mention our location in relation with our neighboring roads and all those things like this. Here you can see that some roads goes to and it diverts to some main roads, and all these things are shown here, and the proposed building is also shown here. Like that, you have to prepare a location map, and on the location map you can place a north arrow in direction with that location. Okay, then these are all the things while you have to consider while you are preparing an approval drawing. First of all, you have to visit the site, then you have to prepare a site plan. Then from there you have to plan the area of your building that you're going to construct. Then from there you can make the floor plans by considering all these rules, like minimum area of the building elements, then exit doorways, minimum width, staircase with thread height, depth, all those things. While considering all those things, only you have to prepare an approval drawing. Like you have to prepare floor plans, a section view, then front elevation. Then you have to make a septic tank details, then rainwater harvesting, a location map, then site plan. And you have to just keep in mind that all these things should be fully dimensioned while you are preparing an approval drawing. And you have to calculate all the areas like floor area ratio, total floor areas by calculating ground floor area, first floor areas. Then you have to calculate the coverage, carpet areas, all these things. You have to mention these all areas on your building, on your approval drawing. Then you have to arrange that on a sheet like this. Here you can see this is a sample of an approval drawing. And here you can see this is the ground floor plan, and this is the first floor plan, and on the above portion you can see a section, and on top you can see a building front elevation, and here you can see a location plan of the building. Then here is the site plan, and its scale here you can see that is as 1:200. That is, keep in mind that you cannot reduce your scale not less than 1:400. Okay, then you had to place a septic tank details, rainwater harvesting. Then had to prepare a title block that shows the details of the owner, that is the extent, the plot area, the survey number of the building, and the village, the ward number, taluk or district, and you have to add the name and address of that client. Then you have to include the area calculations. You have to add calculate all those areas, and you have to include that on the title block. And also one more thing is you have to add the joinery details. Okay, I just forgot that. That is, you know that we are placing the doors, windows, and all those things by just indicating an ID like a D1, W1, or like something like that. So we have to mention the joinery details, like what a D indicates. That indicates a main door of 100 by 210 centimeter, like that. You have to make a table of joinery details that includes doors and windows, that things. And also on the floor plans you have to mention the name of the room and its size. Okay, like this you have to mention the, you can see that this room indicates the master bedroom, and it is of a size of 350 by 424 centimeter. So like that you have to mention the size and name of the room. Then on the title block here you can see the schedule of joineries. Then an approved engineer, only an approved engineer or an architect or a town planner is who has a license can only make a sign this approval drawing. And the sign off that approved or licensed engineer should be here. Then certified that this drawing is supervised under him, and that signature and the client signature. This is how you have to prepare an approval drawing. Okay. Okay, Danish, I will just explain at last that from that well said. Okay. Okay, here you can see the approval drawing of ground floor plan and first floor plan. And you have to mention the purpose of the use of that approval drawing, like whether it is for residential purpose or like that, on the title block. And here you can see that these plans are fully dimensioned, and some portions has, since that is already an existing portion, and if you have to make an alteration or extension to an already existing building, then you have to do like this. That is, you have to indicate that portion by hatch, and you have to prepare the further plans. Okay, like this. Then you have to make a sectional views, front elevations. Then you have to make details of a septic tank like this, rainwater, and you have to mention the storage capacity of the rainwater harvesting. Then here you can see a site plan that shows the neighboring street road of and its name, width, and its dimensions, all those things. And here you can see a location plan. And here you can see a joinery details of the door, windows, all those things. And there's a certificate that the building plan is certified that the building plan is prepared in accordance with the provisions and Kerala municipality building rules. Like that, you have to certify according to that. Then here you can see the site details. Then the title that shows what all things is included on this plan, like floor plan, elevation, section. And here is FAR, floor area ratio, coverage. Then the ground floor area, proposed ground floor area, then carpet area, all those things. Then the name and signature of that client should be included. Then the architects or the engineer's seal and signature should be included on this approval drawing. This is how you have to prepare an approval drawing of a residential building. And for those who are not clear from this well portion, I just repeat once more. That is, while marking the well on your site plan, you have to make sure that no septic tank shall be allowed or made within a distance of 7.5 meter radius from any existing well. That is, you have to plan accordingly. Your septic tank position and the well position should be marked on the site, and that should be should not be within a limit of 7.5 meter. Okay, and the protected brick wall height is 1.1 meter height for the building. Sorry, for the well. Next. Then next here you can see a plan of septic tank and sock pit. You have to draw the plan and section of septic tank and sock pit. Then you have to make a rainwater harvesting storage system, and you have to calculate the minimum capacity of rainwater harvesting by multiplying the total floor area into 25. That is, the total floor area should be in meter square, and you have to multiply that with 25 liter per meter square. Then you will get the capacity of rainwater in liters. Then here you can see a sample of rainwater storage tank. This is the location plan, and this is a sample of approval drawing, which includes the ground floor plan, first floor plan, sections, elevations, then the rainwater harvesting system, its capacity, septic tank, site plan, location map, then the title block that includes the joinery details of doors, windows, then the area calculations, the client details or the land details, then the client name and address, the signature, and the architect signature or the engineer signature. And all these things makes an approval drawing, and this is only one portion or to make or to getting building permit. After making this approval drawings, you have to sign it, and then some land details, all those things you have to give to certain authorities to get the building permit. Okay, I think up to this portions it's clear. If you have any query, you can ask me now.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for this section.
Okay.
So, any questions?
And we are BIM Labs Engineering Services Private Limited. We are located on Kerala, Trivandrum, and Kalkutam is our head office. And we have a branch on Cochin office, and we have 3 more franchises at 4 more franchises at Karamana, Calicut. There and we are doing BIM courses on architectural BIM, structural BIM, MEP BIM, and construction management in BIM, and all those things we are doing courses. And if you have any queries regarding our courses or those things, you can contact our mail ID at info@bimlabs.in, and also this is a mobile number, you can note it. And we have 3 wings, like we are doing this training activities in the finishing school. And next we have a bridge wing that from where we are giving the placement for students. And we have another division that is BIM studio, from which we are making projects for both students and others. That is our project division. Okay, then if
Okay,
you have
ma'am.
any query, you can.
Okay, ma'am. There is questions.
Yeah.
Okay, miss. The first question is: suppose residents doesn't have nearly 7 meters from their well to septic tank, what shall they do to construct it?
No, according to our rules, we have to provide a septic tank. We have to make a distance of 7.5 meter radius from septic tank to well. Otherwise, I think now they have some plastic septic tanks or already precasted septic tanks. In that case, I think there is no problem. But according to the Kerala municipality building rules, you have to maintain a 7.5 meter radius between the well and the septic tank. Okay. And next, what
Okay.
is mean by fire escape service means know that we provide some fire escape systems like a staircase and some extinguisher like things when fire catches a building. And it is a type of a staircase we can provide on the residential building or any other buildings. And on the residential buildings, we can provide a fire escape staircase when the building is 3 meters above the ground floor level.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, here 2 tank available because sorry, okay, continue.
Okay, ma'am. Here 2 tank available. How and why?
That is, I think you are asking about rainwater harvesting or some septic tank. That is not 2 tanks. It just shows septic tank, sock pit, and that septic tank. Septic tank, that is sock pit filters the water above that, and they can drain off that water from the sock pit, and a septic tank collects the other effluences from the domestic sewage.
Okay, ma'am. Next question is, uh, what are the plot margins to be left for residential building while planning?
Yeah, that I already told that. No, first of all, you have to make the site plan. Then, after making the site plans, you have to make a plot margin of some setbacks, that is according to your municipality building rules. According to Kerala municipality building rules, you have to give a setback of 3 meter from the plot. Up, that is, the setback is the limit up to which you can extend your constructions. So that you have to make a front setback of 3 meter, a rear setback of 2 meter, and side setbacks of 1.2 meter and 1 meter while you are planning a residential building. We on this session we all discussed about the residential building cases only, not other occupancy type cases. Okay.
Okay. Ma'am, Vastu related points teach ma'am in residential building.
Yeah, Vastu related points, that is a separate topic. That is, you have to find out the Vastu related topics, like you have to place the master bedroom on some portions, like, and you have to make a kitchen portions on this and out like area. That is a separate topic. We cannot include this topic because this is based on preparation of approval drawings, and all persons do not look on Vastu. Only some looks on Vastu related points, so that if they want to make their building according to the Vastu, then they can mention their architect or to engineer that I want to make my building like according to the Vastu only. Then they will make the arrangements like that. But that's a separate topic, and the arrangements of rooms and all those things will be according to that portion only. That is, the kitchen will be only on that portions, and master bedroom will be on that portion, like that. That is a separate topic related to Vastu. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. If there is canal near a residential building, what is the distance of septic tank to the canal?
That I have to just look on to the Kerala municipality building rules. Well, what is the things that in the case of a canal, that I will mail you. So if you can give me your mail ID, I can mail that the answer to you. Okay, I want to just refer that, and I
Okay,
can.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is, if we increase freeboard in septic tank, is there any problem?
No, there is no any problem if you are increasing a freeboard in septic tank.
Okay.
In Vastu necessary. No, the Vastu is not necessary for creating residential building, but only some people just think that only if you are constructing the building according to Vastu, then there will be no problem. We will get plenty of but many other things when we are doing constructing a residential building according to the Vastu. That is, we have to. I can just give you some idea about Vastu. That is, we have to provide the bedrooms on the southwest portions or the northwest portions, and we have to place the kitchen on east and recently on northeast portion. We have to place the dining on southeast portions, and you have to place the veranda gallery on west and southwest portion. Really, all these positions are set according to if we are placing the bedroom on northwest or southwest portion to receive plentiful or breeze in summer, and if we are placing kitchen on the east portion to receive the morning sun, which is germicidal, which make the kitchen germicidal, and kitchen should be also be well illuminated and cool in the afternoon. Okay. And if you are providing the now dining on the southeast portion, the proximity to kitchen, it should be cool and less illuminated. For considering that, we are placing the dining on the southeast portion, and we are providing the veranda or gallery on the west or southwest portion to protect the structure from hot afternoon sun. Like this, for all these things, that is for placing all these building elements to certain or recommended aspects, there is some influencing factor that makes some persons to make to construct the building according to the Vastu, but there is no other significance related to that. But for some, that is very important. In that cases, we can make our building, or we can plan our building according to by considering the Vastu. Okay, so I think I will get some idea about Vastu. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you explain the according to Indian building bylaws?
Yeah, already explained this the building elements, requirements, and all those things by considering the building bylaws, and all other authorities make this what setback distances and other distances by considering this building bylaws. And on that building bylaws, we have so many requirements like you have to provide a setback of 4 meter and like that, so many distances. But better when you are constructing a building in a locality or a panchayat, then we can refer your that state municipality building rules or panchayati building rules. That will be better. Or you can refer building codes also. That is also fair. But the better option when you are placing a building on by on your locality, then better is you can you have to make according to your panchayati building rules or your municipality building rules, whatever your building located. Okay, if you want to make a building bylaws session, then I will arrange it later.
Okay, ma'am. Has every state followed different building law rule?
Yeah. So every states have a certain building laws, but there is no much differences between these rules, because all these rules are extracted from the national building codes. So only there will be some differences according to their localities, and almost many things are same in different states building law rules. Okay.
Okay. What will be the setback distance if the construction building was site near to highways?
Setback distance. Yeah, for all the buildings that make a minimum abutting street or any street that which passes through vehicles, then you have to follow these setback distances like 3 meter, 2 meter, 1.2 meter, and 1 meter. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ground floor plus first floor, the depth of foundation in how much feet, ma'am?
Ground floor plus first floor, the depth of that you have to calculate after analyzing that, because that is first of all if you are constructing a load bearing structure, not a wall but the framed structure like the beams, columns, slabs, and all those things makes the load transfer to the foundation, then to soil. Then in all those cases you have to make structural drawings also. That is you have to calculate the elements of the sizes of beams, slabs, all those things. Then you have to find out how much area of or how much size foundation should be needed for bearing these load from the superstructure. That we have to find out by analyzing on some softwares like STAAD, or you have to calculate it individually. Then only you have to find out the depth of the foundation and all those things. We cannot find out the depth of the foundation or ground floor or something like that directly. We have to analyze it first by considering the superstructure loads and all those things. Then only you can find out the depth of the foundation. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. There is no more questions left.
Thank
Okay,
you
ma'am.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and it was a pleasure for being with you today. Then thank you all. If you have
Thank you
any
so
doubt
much,
regarding
ma'am.
the session, you can mail me at samira@bemlabs.in. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you so much for the section. So, firstly, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to Samira ma'am, the senior technical engineer at Beam Labs, for spending her valuable time with us. Ma'am, your section was so much informative about the topic preparation of approval drawings, and it is too interesting to listen to your class. Thank you so much, Samira ma'am, for taking an
Thank you very much.
informative section on our online workshop organized by ICI VVIT chapter. And I am happy to express my sincere thanks to Sajid Bhaskar sir, the secretary of ICI Calicut Center, who is the coordinator of this entire program. Thank you so much, sir, for your support and guidance. Next, I would like to thank our beloved constant support, Honorable Chairman Arun Korat sir, Kalam ma'am, Honorable Principal Dr. Sankita ma'am, and our dearest HOD Divya ma'am, and all other teachers for such an initiative. Last but not least, I would like to thank all our participants for their active participation, making the section so lively. Thank you all.